All right, and we are live. It says we are anyway. So let's see what. Oh, shoot, I just kicked it. Let's see if there's anybody. Make sure that everybody can. When somebody does come in, we'll just kind of go through here and kind of wait a second. See if anybody shows up before I get in there. Oh yeah, right there. We are live. Hey Rick, what's up, buddy? Can you hear me? All right, yeah, you can hear me. That's awesome. All right, I'm just gonna give it a couple seconds and give it about another 30 seconds and let everybody kind of kick in. I was gonna go on another minute before this, but a couple minutes before, and kind of let people come in, and I got sort of sidetracked making coffee. So since you're the only one in here, Rick, how was your Thanksgiving? Were you on the road? All right, cool. All right, well, I'm gonna grab my coffee and and we'll get started. All right. So everybody, welcome to the second edition of Commonly Uncommon, and this is where we look at pieces of cast iron that are in really common sets, but there's really rare pieces in them, and a lot of times they're overlooked. In the last video, we did some that pointed. I showed the flat bottom Wagner Sydney-O's, the ones that ran from about 35 till 57 when the company sold. And a lot of people didn't realize that the sevens were very, very rare. A lot of times they're plated and all that. It's hard to find one that's not plated, actually, but they are out there. And but here on this one, once I grab my coffee, we are going to look at a couple pieces that I have today that will surprise you how really uncommon they are to find, but everybody probably has that series. And today we're going to be looking at Lodge cast iron. And these that I have here in front of me, now I'll take the lid off of this and I'll flip that around. And I'll flip this around. Let me find a spot to put this lid real quick. But on this one, a lot of times, now we all have, if you collect cast iron or use cast iron, you probably have one of these Modern Lodge recessed heat ring cast iron skillets. Everybody has them. But on this one, if you notice right here, it's a 9SK. Now, they're currently available, but these are only available at Costco. They run about $20 to $25. Currently, I did call a couple Costco's in my state, and they do still currently carry them. And so they are available, but on the website, you can't find them. And, if you look on the Lodge website, you can't get one of these. So they are difficult to find. Now, the one thing that that I noticed with with these is Lodge doesn't have a lid for this one. And so if you do come across this one and you try to buy a vintage Lodge cast iron pan, I'm going to show you, or a cast iron lid, I will show you that. Now these are handy size. I love this size. It's a great size to have. You can fit a couple steaks in it. I actually used it yesterday when we cooked our Thanksgiving. We did our Thanksgiving a little late, but due to scheduling issues and everything else. But I went online a little while ago and I got this lid. Now this is a vintage Lodge lid. Now this is, according to people that know a lot more about Lodge than I do, this number 9 is from probably the 20s, 30s. It's older, and the way that they know that it's older, and I'll scoot this over a little bit, is that you can see the difference in the ear size. It fits kind of, but it's really, really loose. It's not a big enough deal to where I won't keep it and use it, but it doesn't fit that great. And like I said, if you look on there, the ears on the inside of this are really big, but it is a number 9. So if you get one of these Lodge skillets from Costco, and that's the only place, that's an exclusive, you can't get anywhere else. But and if you go to try and find the lid for it, that's the lid you're going to get. And honestly, these Lodge vintage number 9 lids are kind of pricey. I got this one, and I know it was more than $50, and I had to it was a rust bucket when I got it. I had to restore it and do the whole 9 yards to it, but it's come out pretty nice. But yeah, those are really those are kind of different to find. You know, they're handy, but they don't make them for everybody. They don't make them on the site. Now the next one that I wanted to show, let me see what Rick said. No, I didn't. I don't know. I've never. I looked around and I called the customer service people at Lodge, and they said you could not. They didn't have a lid for a number 9 available. So I don't know. That's a little bit. That's a little. Yeah, that's for debate, I guess. But yeah, as far as I know, you can't get a lid for it. This is my only Lodge that doesn't have some sort of a lid. That I have the Lodge set from 3 to 17. And the 17 is the only one that doesn't have a lid. Let me move this around here a little bit, and I'll show you this one piece. This one piece is pretty, this next piece is pretty neat. I was pretty surprised with this one. And I'll flip that around and go this way. And I looked everywhere for this thing. Because I found it at an antique store about a year ago, and it sat around. I brought it home, cleaned it up, and all that. And then I started looking for them online, and I'm like, man, you can't find these. But this is a Lodge number 7. Now they started making these Lodges back in the early 90s, about 92. And then I called Lodge about this thing, and they said they made them up until about 2008. And then they sort of just kind of fizzed out. They just sort of kind of fizzed away. They never made any more. And and they said that they never sold that great, and they didn't make very many of these. So that was kind of, these are really kind of different. And they're really, I looked online, I looked everywhere, and I couldn't find one. Now I see a lot of people, they sell these, they'll sell like a lot of times you'll see like in the 7SK part, you'll see people selling them online as a 7, but it has a mold number in there. It'll have like a number, it'll have a 7 here, but it'll be an 8SK. And they'll have it listed as a 7, but it's not a 7. It's an 8 with a 7 mold number, mold or series number, whatever you want to call those. So I'm sort of up in the air about what those numbers actually are. Some people say they're mold numbers. Some people say that they're series numbers. And that's another video that I'm working on right now, is how much of that really is a mold number, or how much of it is really a series number. So when I do that video, put on your tinfoil hats, because that'll be a good one. That should spark a lot of debate in the community. But the really cool thing about this that makes it even more rare is it has the number 7 lid. When I found it at the antique store, it had the lid as well. And I had a really hard time finding another 7 lid, it was like this, that married up to that. So it's hard to believe that some of these are rare, but they actually are rare in really common sets. You know, you have the 3s, the 5s, 6 sevens, you know, or sixes, and then it jumps to the 8, and then whatever. But these, I looked and I've looked and I've looked, and I've never found one. I've never found one of them online, on Etsy or on eBay. And I looked again about a week ago just to see if there actually were any out there, and there aren't any that I can find. Now, I'm not saying they're not out there. This is the only one in the world, but they're pretty hard to find. They're pretty hard to come by. So if you have one in your collection, hang on to it, or, you know, do what you want with it. But they're not very common. They're actually commonly uncommon. And yeah, so yeah, I just wanted to show those couple, and show that thing with the lid on the 9, because I thought if I got the 9 lid that I could get a that it would fit on there, but it really fits really loose, and it doesn't fit very well. And when I have used it a couple times, which if you've ever seen any of the comments I make in other people's videos, I'm not a big fan of cast iron lids. I tend to oil them up really good before I use them so they don't rust. And in my collection, I tend to have enough glass lids to cover almost everything I have. So I don't use a lot of cast iron lids, even on my Dutch ovens, unless I'm going to use them outside over a fire. If I use them inside, I use the glass lids. And or if I bake, I use, and it needs a lid, I will use my cast iron lids. Let's see. Let's take a look at the comments here. Oh, okay. Yeah, still. Oh, Rick's still in here. Okay. Yeah, me either. I prefer the glass lids. That's just the way. You know, I love cast iron. I love using it. I love collecting it. But there's just some applications where cast iron just, for me, it just doesn't work. It's like when we did pumpkin pies over the holidays. I did all my pumpkin pies in my old Fire King 50s glass pie pans, because pumpkin pies, I like them chilled, and I like them to sit at least a little while in the refrigerator before we serve them, to help them set and everything like that. So those I've done. There's one of my shorts where I made a pumpkin pie in my unmarked number 6, which is my baking pan, my Wagner number 6, and I use that one for all my baking pretty much. If I make fudge or brownies or cakes or whatever, that's my pan to go to. But when I do a pumpkin pie, we did that pumpkin pie. We set it outside. It was cold out. I set it outside to cool. We brought it in, and the one I did in the cast iron pan, and it was gone. And the rest of it we took out and we put in the refrigerator. But that's the only time that I'll ever make a pumpkin pie in cast iron. Now, my cherry pies, things like that, things that I know that people want when they're still possibly warm or whatever, I will do cherry pies, apple pies, rhubarb pies, any of that stuff in cast iron. But I don't do pumpkin pies in there at all. But yeah, I just wanted to pass this along and do a video on this. I've been wanting to do one that was for the other channel, but it just, for whatever reason, I have a lot of trouble uploading right now, and I don't know why. I'm having things looked at. I'm having my laptop looked at and figuring out what the deal is, and why some of my videos aren't. Some of them, they load and they'll only half be there. It's a file issue probably, but I don't know. But yeah, this is a really cool. It doesn't have the helper handle. I guess that starts at the 8 and goes up from there. So the 7's the last one that doesn't have a helper handle on it either. But that's a really cool pan to find. So keep your eyes out, keep your eyes peeled to try and find one, because they're just they're handy, and not everybody has one. And that's kind of the cool thing, man. That's one of the things I like to. I don't collect things as far as going by a series or anything, I look for deals on cool pans that, maybe not everybody has. And that's kind of the fun part of collecting for me is to do it that way. But that's about all I got. We didn't really get oh, we got some more people coming in, but we only got Rick commenting. But yeah, to find that lid was I was really happy to find the lid, and it cleaned up really well. One of the things I like about Lodge is they're so easy to restore. They're just some, the one you got at Costco came with a silicone handle. Really? Actually, I will say this, that 9 that I got was a gift from Luis J of Luis J Cast Iron. He sent me that because I put it in the comments that I really wanted one, and I put in the comment section that I had to go. Costco in my state isn't very popular. They have them in the major cities, like they have them in like a couple of the major cities. But for me to go, it was like an hour and a half to 2 hours in any direction, and I don't have a Costco membership. I didn't want to buy a Costco membership for whatever that costs when I have other memberships to other things like Sam's Club and stuff like that, but I didn't want to buy a Costco to go and buy a $20 cast iron pan. And he was nice enough because he has a Costco where he lives. He picked me up one and sent it to me. And that was super nice of him. So when I wrap up this video and I send it out, I will give Luis a shout out on that. But yeah, the 7 is a cool pan, and to find one and then to find it, and that was the neat thing. I had walked by this at the antique store a couple weekends in a row, and I didn't have many 7s at the time, and still don't have many 7s. And the 7s that I have aren't ones that I use. Like I have an Indian head number 7, which I never use, and I have my pick a favorite one. I do use that one occasionally. I have a favorite number 7, and my Wagner number 7's plated, and I don't really. To me, plated cast iron's kind of sketchy, and so I've cleaned up my plated ones, my plated 7, but I kind of just keep it as a showpiece to kind of have in my Wagner flat bottom collection, which oddly enough, just because of my proximity to Sydney, Ohio, I've about got a full set of Wagner flat bottom skillets. The only one I don't have, which is I have a couple of them in the unmarked series, or unmarked logos, is I have several number 8 unmarked Wagners, but I don't have a number 8 Wagner. It's kind of like I didn't have, like all the Lodge number 8s that I have, most of them have something on the back. I had one regular number 8 in this model, in the recessed logo, heat ring logos, but I gave it to my daughter. It came in a smash burger set, and I had all these other 8s, and she wanted to try cooking in cast iron, so I gave her that one. And actually, I think it's out in my lye tank right now because she had it for a while. She used it, and then she's kind of had a rough time with cleaning them. So I had to get that back. It's out tomorrow. Is my yeah, they are hard to kill. Lodge is definitely hard to kill. Yeah, I've given her a few. I've given her one of the round 9-inch griddles, one of the moose ones, and she got a heart pan for Valentine's Day last year, and she got the skull pan for Halloween a couple years ago, and then she has that 8. So she has a little collection. She has a little. Oh, and she has the wolf. Number 3, the Lodge Wolf. So she's got a little collection of her own. So she's doing pretty good. She's had a better collection than I had when I was her age. That's for darn sure. But Yeah, they are, but yeah, Rick, you're definitely right. They are hard to kill. I was trying to look over there and see if I have any other things that I could show that are kind of oddballs in the while we have people on the live here. But those were the main ones I wanted to do. And actually, the video that I shot was only about 6 minutes long, and so I've kind of doubled that time. We've been about 20 minutes here. But I'm looking over on my rack right now to see if there's the Victoria skull pans. Yeah, those are kind of nice. I don't have any Victoria, but the people I know that have them, the only ones I've really seen are on Luis's channel. And there was another one where I saw another channel that I was thumbing through, and I found that somebody was using them, and people seem to like them. But with as much lodge as I have and the limited amount of room, that it just adding a modern pan isn't really. I don't really have the room for it, because there's a lot of my cast iron. My cast iron is, I do have a lot of lodge, and I have a Stargazer, and trying to think if I have any. I do have some, yeah. But I most of my collection is pretty much modern or vintage pans. I have a lot of pickleware. I have my Walpock collection, and Wagner's, and some Puritans and things like that. Some Good Health. I'd like to get a waffle iron. Oh, you have the whole thing. I bet you got a pretty impressive collection, Rick. You seem to always surprise me in the comments with some of the stuff that you have. Yeah. So is Victoria, is that a lot like Lodge? Is it kind of the same consistency, that sort of, I don't know. I don't call it rough. I don't think these are rough. As comparative to, I used what was it? I used my Cajun Classic roaster this weekend to do our turkey breasts, and that thing is, I mean, I'm actually going to have to take a grinder to that on the edges, because I'm afraid somebody's going to get cut on it. It's that rough. And then we put it on the table, and I noticed where my that roaster was sitting on the table, it had scratched the table. The bottom of it is just so unbelievably rough that it's just unbelievable. And I think I even have it right here. I might be able to squeeze it into the frame, because I re-seasoned it last night after we used it. Longer handles. Okay. Yeah, Lodge handles are kind of stumpy. That's for sure. But yeah, I'll show you. That was one thing. I got this Cajun Classic. I saw it on Big Lou Barbecue, and I thought it was really cool looking. And I wanted a roaster, but I couldn't find a roaster that was necessarily in my price range as far as putting out $400 or $500 for a roasting pan. And I wanted the roaster, and I like the design of this one. But if you can see on the bottom of this how rough that bottom is of this Cajun Classic. Look at that spot right there under where it says, I can't even read what part of Louisiana this is from, because that part's so rough. But yeah, that scratched my table yesterday. It's a good, and the edges, I'll flip it around so you can see the edges on that. These edges are ridiculous. I mean, they're sharp. They're literally like, you know, a handmade knife, like something you'd make in your shop just to kind of do. I will show the lid to this. Let me grab the lid for that. If you've never seen one, I just have to step right over here for a second to grab the lid. There we go. Sorry to be off camera like that. But that's the lid for it. That Cajun Classic. It's hard to get in the shot. But I thought it was really cool looking, and for 80 bucks, it was pretty, yeah, I thought it was going to be a good bargain, but it is really, I had to strip it. I don't know what kind of seasoning it had on before. It looked like it was paint. And the edges on this are just so sharp. And even inside you can see just all the things, the little stalactites that are up on the top of that. It's just so rough. Yeah, it's a cool lid. I mean, I'm not disappointed with having it in a way that when I needed a roaster, a big roaster, that's come in really handy. But yeah, it's that thing number, and the other thing is it's like 30 pounds. Now I know when I pick up, I've definitely seen my fair share of like Wagner roasters and Griswold roasters and that kind of stuff, and they're pretty heavy. But they're not bulky like that. That's literally 30 pounds with the lid on it. And then you threw, like I had a 8-pound turkey breast in it yesterday with some stuffing, and that was a workout to get it in and out of the oven and work it around and baste the turkey and everything. It was that one's gonna be one of those things that I use out on the grill. Like if I'm deep frying chicken breasts or deep frying chicken strips or French fries, that's where that's gonna be, that thing, from here on out. Hey Mud, what's up, buddy? You kind of missed all the fun part. I was going over, I'll show you what I had, what I did. I'll show Mud since we're getting a few other people, because it'll only take me a second to go through it. But this is, I was kind of doing a live version of my Commonly Uncommon series, and one of the ones that I found a little while back from the Lodge series, which we all have Lodge, and we all have at least one of these laying around, is the 7SK. You just hardly ever see it. I've never seen another one. That's the only one I've ever seen, is that one there. And I was just lucky enough. Some people try and sell them like on eBay. I've seen when I looked them up on eBay and Etsy and Clarabelle and some of the other places, they'll say it's a 7 because it has that 7 series number, mold number or whatever in the top there, but it'll be an 8SK. So it's not a true 7. And then the other part that was pretty cool is not only did I find that, but I found it had the lid with it. And I got this thing for dirt cheap. It was like 35 bucks at an antique store, so you never see anything that cheap at an antique store. But just because it was a modern Lodge, I think the seller probably just didn't know what they had, which that's my favorite kind of seller. That is my absolute favorite kind of seller. And then the other one I showed that a lot of people don't know is out there was the number 9 Lodge from Costco that people don't really know that's out there. That yeah, and they're available. At least when I called the Costco in my state, they did have more of these. And they're only like 20. I think a guy said it was 22 bucks for one of these. But the one thing about it was, and now Rick was saying something about maybe Lodge has the lids, but I didn't see any on Lodge's website. So I went and I bought a vintage lid. And the thing about this one though is that the ears are different. You can kind of pull it into the shot there. The ears are different. So when I set it on there, it doesn't set 100%. It's real loose. So when I use it on the stove, like if I'm making chicken or whatever, the steam will actually drip out over top of the ears, and then yeah, it's kind of, I mean, it's cool. It's a cool lid. And somebody was telling me that these were from like the 30s or whatever, when the ears were a lot bigger. I'm not a lodge expert, so I'm just passing on what somebody told me. That's something, if you're a lodge collector or whatever, you can put in the comment section when those were made. But yeah, that's the only downfall to that. I don't know if I'll keep the lid. I'll probably keep the lid just because I don't really get rid of much, but I was kind of disappointed because I got it and this was a real rust bucket piece. I mean, it was literally, it was so bad when I got this thing that the crud was so thick in there that it went to the top of the drip drops. That it was all the way up to there, and it was full. I mean, this rust everywhere. So I was pretty happy with how it cleaned up. And then I did it with cast iron. I seasoned it with cast iron cure, so it's got a nice cast iron cure that I make, the beeswax seasoning. So it's got a nice, I don't know if it shows up so much there, but it's got a nice gold color, which they usually have when they first get done. But yeah, that was pretty much what I had today. I just gonna yeah, I could make popcorn. I've never had much luck making popcorn in cast iron. But the only time, to be fair though, the only time I've ever tried to make popcorn in cast iron was right after my shoulder surgery. I had shoulder replacement last year, and I tried to make popcorn in a Wagner chicken fryer, and it wasn't shaking that pan wasn't the greatest idea, especially since I wasn't supposed to move for like 3 months. It wasn't the greatest idea. Let me get a drink of coffee here. But yeah, that's about all I've got today, and I'm glad some people showed up. I got the video, got this video done. I've been wanting to do a second series of these commonly uncommon that I have. I try to stick with the particular series. Like and this one was the modern lodge. I've got a couple Wagners. I might do another couple Wagner ones. But if you have any suggestions, if you see one, oh, bacon grease makes really, huh? I've never tried that. Yeah, that was my problem when I made the popcorn, man. It burnt. I mean, it burnt. And usually I have really good luck in cast iron cooking anything, but popcorn was that was a bad move for me anyway. But anyway, I've been chatting on here for about a half an hour, and I'm gonna get off here. But I'm glad some people showed up, and I'm glad to see some people chimed in. That was yeah, you have to be able to shake the pan for sure. And that was one thing I definitely couldn't do when I had that shoulder surgery. When I had my shoulder surgery, I wasn't actually even supposed to move and do anything for, I think it was like 6 to 7 weeks. I wasn't allowed to do anything. The 14-inch lodge, the walk for, I don't have a walk. I don't have one of those walks. I use my, anytime I need a walk, I generally just use my Black Lock lodge for that, or my 10-inch lodge for that. I do have a one of those 7/8, the BSR skillets that has kind of the rounded edges of the Century series. And for small stir fries, like just for myself, I use that thing. That seems to do pretty good. But anyway, yeah, I'm going to get off here and let everybody get back to their Sunday. But I've been wanting to do this video, and I finally didn't have 100 people in my house, and I got tired of trying to upload everything, so I did this. So anyway, thanks for everybody showing up. Mudbrooker, if you're still on here, I'll see you Tuesday, hopefully, and see everybody else in the comment sections. All right? See ya.